This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. The last few weeks that I spoke to Frank on a Monday, he's been a bit doom and gloom after Arsenal take some batterings, but you're back to winning ways, 1-0 against Norwich. A bit happier this Monday, Frank?
Well, I'm pleased they won, and I don't want to sound an old grouch, but I'll tell you what, they didn't look good winning, that's for sure.
But yeah, a little bit of a upbeat for you compared to the last few weekends, I bet still.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let's start with your weekend show, Frank, on the Friday night. How many prospect shows do you think we can expect a year, roughly?
I think we're going to do roughly 8. So it's quite good. I mean, obviously take out Christmas and a couple of summer months. That's pretty regular. And it was really well received, and we got decent rating for it. We haven't had all the digital numbers in yet, but everybody was quite pleased with it, and I certainly was. The main event was very exciting, although those two guys give their all. However, terrible cuts. I mean, awful cuts. Poor Louis is going to be out for quite a time, waiting for those to heal. And I thought Amin came to fight, boxed really well, and it's a shame it ended the way it did because it was quite poised, I thought, at that stage. But his corner, Louis' corner, did a really good job in what they did. Some guys would just pull their fighter out with the cuts, but he was sensible enough to have gone to the rules meeting, listened to what the rules were all about. And Martin Bowers called it dead right by saying, it wasn't an accidental clash of the heads, so go to the scorecards, and that's really good corner work. So, it is what it is. Maybe down the road, and it will be right down the road because, as I said, the extent of Louis' injuries, maybe that's a rematch in the future.
Yeah, I'm sure people would like to see that. There was a lot of talk about the scorecards after the fight. How did you score it?
I thought Louis just was in front. It was one of those fights where it depends what sort of style of fighter you like, how you score a fight. Walk forward fighter or action, or and so forth. But there wasn't a lot in it. I don't think there was a lot in it. But I looked at it. I looked at it a couple of times. Amin threw some really good shots and caught Louis a few times as he was going, especially when he was coming in low. He was catching him with that sort of long uppercut. But I thought Louis rocked him a few times. He caught him 2 or 3 times, and he seemed to have rocked him. But as I say, there weren't a lot in it. There wasn't a lot in it, but it was what it was. And at the end of the day, you can't change the result. The result is what it is.
Just a note on that card as well, Wayne Batten's boys, Josh Frankham and Mark Chamberlain, with 2 really good performances. Wayne's guys are really making a mark on the British boxing scene at the moment.
Look, he's got a really good thing going down there, and he's got some very, very good youngsters. I mean, as you just say, Josh boxed extremely well. I mean, he's a little bit over-eager. I mean, he's done what he had to do, don't get me wrong. I don't want to criticise somebody who gets rid of a guy the way he does, but it will come with, he's only a novice pro, and it'll come with with experience where he'll pick his shots more and take guys out in the same amount. But he done brilliantly. He done what he had to do and stopped his man, and I was really pleased with him. And I thought that the other what's his name we brought on from the night before. I thought he'd done a tremendous job. It took him a couple of rounds to settle down. But once he settled down, Chamberlain done a fantastic job.
Yeah, see, Sam Noakes joined his BT interview after. That's a fight for the future, I think, isn't it, Frank? Maybe for the British title.
Look, they're both very good ticket sellers. I mean, they're both extremely good, young, talented fighters. That fight in 18 months' time will top a bill in a decent venue, and we'll get a great atmosphere, and more importantly, we'll get a great fight. And that's what we've got to work towards, providing they both keep winning. But Mark done it, as I say, done a great job, and Sam, he's up for it as well. And they both fancy the fight for their lives. I mean, you talk to both of them and both of their respective trainers and so forth. They both think they got the other man. They can do a job with him. So I'm pleased it's a fight we can look forward to. And as again, it just shows you the strength and the width we've got in these youngsters that we've been bringing through.
Definitely. And in terms of the cancelled show on Saturday, when can we expect Denzel Bentley and Callum Johnson to be out, Frank?
Well, we're looking to work that. We're working on that now, and I'm hoping I'll get them out. I want to try and get them out if I can by the end of the month. Having said that, it is what it is. I don't know when Sonny Edwards is going to fight again, because obviously an injury like that, I think I said our interview on Saturday, if you bang your hand up or you bang another part of your body up, you can still run or you can still get on the bike and keep fit. He can't do that. When you turn your ankle and everything, in boxing, everything relies on your, be able to stand up as such, more than be able to stand up. And the problem is he's struggling. So he can't run, he can't do any of that type of work. And that's going to take a while to heal. So once it does heal, then he's got to get back into being match fit. So I'm not sure when it's actually going to take place.
Okay. Well, there were a couple of other shows on the weekend that I want to ask you about. Firstly, back to the Friday, Top Rank put on, obviously, Oscar Valdez's world title defence. There was a lot of controversy going into that fight, Frank, where he failed for a banned substance, a PED, and he was still allowed to box by the commission. Your thoughts on that situation with Valdez?
It's wrong. Look, if it's a banned substance, then it's a banned substance. What's the point of putting it on a banned list if you can fight? That's what it says, banned. That's what it says on the label. It's banned. What you're taking is banned. If you're taking it, you're breaching the regulations. So you shouldn't be able to fight. As simple as that. Not about upsetting other promoters or anything. I think this drug thing's got out of hand. I mean, I've noticed a lot of fighters now, and I'm hearing all these stories about guys are weighing in. Next minute they're back in the room being intravenously fed and whatever they've been put on. This is not right. All this stuff. This needs to be really looked at properly, because boxing over the last 6 months, or certainly during COVID, has turned a strange corner for me. You just mentioned something there, a banned list. It doesn't seem that matters. If that's, isn't the argument moving forward? Well, I took something else which is also on the banned list, but he was allowed to fight. Why can't I? And it goes on and on. Where'd you stop with that? And then I look at, you're obviously going to mention other fights that took place over the weekend. I'm sure Evander Holyfield, who should be nowhere near a ring. He's 58 years of age, for God's sake. I don't care who he's fighting, whether it's a MMA fighter or he's Gardner. At 58 years of age, boxing's a dangerous sport for young men. For old guys, 58-year-olds, it's a life-threatening sport. And it's really sad to see one of my heroes, one of the, you got any of you youngsters who are watching this, get online, get on YouTube and look at Evander Holyfield, the warrior that he was, that stood toe-to-toe with Riddick Bowe, the great fights he had with Lennox Lewis, and then go down and when he was fighting at like heavy cruiserweight. This man was an unbelievable warrior. I mean, that's what he was, a warrior. And to see that happen, I don't know if it's because of finance or what, is really, really sad. I'm very, very sad.
Isn't it down to the commissions and the TV networks, whether it's the drug situation or these old guys fighting, to say we're not going to allow it anymore? It's ultimately to them.
Look, you can't stop stuff. In the UK, you've got white collar, blue collar, whatever you want to call it. You've got all these shows. No one can stop them. You can't stop them. They can't be under the auspices of the British Boxing Board of Control, but they're allowed to take place because everybody's taking place. They're consenting adults. They know the dangers involved and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's down to the people around them to protect them. Then you would see, for example, the Boxing Board of Control would never sanction that, but I'm surprised they sanctioned it in Florida. It was like, I think it was in Florida, wasn't it? Was it in Florida?
Yeah, it was. No.
Florida. And that tells you a lot about the Florida Commission to allow something like that to happen. They should hold their head in shame.
Well, this thing doesn't seem like it's stopping, Frank. You mentioned Riddick Bowe. He said he wants to fight. Holyfield still said after that loss he wants to fight Mike Tyson.
That's why you have commissions. Danny Williams, British Danny Williams, who I promoted and managed for a while. Great British fighter, heavyweight, tough guy, went in with the best. He's licensed, the board stopped his license, and he went on boxing for probably another 8-9 years when he shouldn't have been, going all around Europe and places where they allowed him to fight and used him as an opponent. And Danny's a fighting man. I mean, again, they're fighting guys, they want to fight. And I can talk probably better than most people on this, because when I started out in the business, I started out on what they called unlicensed boxing. It was licensed, but it wasn't licensed by the British Boxing Board of Control. But there was no 58-year-old guys in there. There was still old guys, guys who some of them thought was professionals. I didn't know any different. I was a young kid, got involved. That was it. I didn't know anything. But as soon as I started to know and see what was going on, it changed. We brought in proper medical coverage, everything. We changed that, lowered the age, and eventually I sort of got out of it because I knew that it was going nowhere. But what is happening now? It seems this celebrity cult, you know, and the era that we live in allows any of these things to happen. And what surprises me is there's such a big audience for it. It's like car crash. It's like the old car crash TV. You know, you slow down to see what's happening in the car crash or on the motorway. And it seems that's what these fights are, they're car crashes.
Mm. Well, also on that card, Frank, obviously David Haye boxed and returned with a win and then called out Tyson Fury. Thoughts?
Well, you know, I don't know what Tyson did. I like David. I mean, you know, David and I over the years, I mean, we had big differences when he started out as a pro. But I've got a lot of respect for David. But he's 40 years of age. He's not a youngster, but he's not 58 years old. Having said that, he suffered some bad injuries. And certainly against Tony Bellew, I'm not taking anything away from Tony Bellew because I mean, he shocked me, to be quite honest, that he, you know, the way that he won, because I fancied David Haye beaten. Having said that, you know, he obviously had these injuries and he shouldn't have been in the ring in the first place. Now, I don't know whether he's got rid of the injuries or not, and I'm sure he's calling out Tyson because him and Tyson, let's get it right, would be a huge fight. There's no doubt about that. But I think he's got to do a bit more before talking about Tyson Fury. For number one, he'd have to get rated. And to get rated, you've got to fight a rated fighter.
Okay. Did you expect that? Or were you surprised when you woke up the next morning and heard that?
Heard it. No, I wasn't surprised at that. I was surprised. I'll tell you what, though. I was surprised about the fight. It really did surprise me. I was surprised. I mean, I never knew he was going to be fighting. When it was announced, it was quite a shock. You know, but look, he was always going to beat Fournier, and that's what he did.
Okay, on the theme of Tyson Fury, obviously the last time I saw you was in Morecambe, where Tyson was addressing kind of his short-term future and what he wants to do. The name Dylan Whyte was mentioned, potentially for a stadium fight, i.e. the Millennium Stadium. Is that something you're thinking about, Frank?
Well, I'm going to tell you the real truth, tell you the truth of how I feel about that. I don't think anything can be discussed until the 10th of October. Get the 9th out of the way. And on the 10th, if that can be done, and Dylan Whyte's sensible, and it can be done, I'm sure Tyson called it. So I haven't got a problem putting that fight on, providing he's sensible. And we get the Millennium Stadium. Absolutely. Tyson has said that he wants to be out in December, but I think we've got to wait until the 10th to see what happens. I mean, anything can happen, as we know in boxing. God forbid, get a cut eye or something. He could be out for a while. So let's wait until the 10th, then we can make our mind up. Or he can make his mind up. He's the one who's getting in the ring as to what he wants to do.
Yeah, absolutely. 9th of October, live on BT Sport Box Office. Tyson Fury has to beat Deontay Wilder. And of course, 30th October, Dylan Whyte will box and he's got to win that fight. But, you know, if Fury and Joshua win, would your mind not be on making that rather than Fury and Whyte? Ultimately, it's obviously down to Tyson.
Oh, Fury and Joshua is the only fight we all want to see, isn't it? No, he's got to come through his fight against Usyk. And I think we talked about that the other day. But he's got to come through that fight. I want Anthony Joshua to come through, and I certainly want Tyson, expect Tyson to come through, and want to see these two guys get it on. You know, but they've got to deal with what they got in front of them first, because we go down that road that we went down for, nearly a year now. Oh, it's on, it's next week, it's going to be here, we're doing. It's not. There's nothing signed yet. Until they get their commitments out of the way, nothing can be agreed or signed. And once it's done, you know, we'll all get around the table and get it sorted out and get the fight on, because that's the fight that all of us are committed, or everybody involved are committed to deliver. And that's what we want to do. So they've got to be the top of their game, Tyson and AJ. You've got to come through their respective commitments, and then we can move on from there.
Absolutely. That's the fight we want to see. Just back on that Fury-Whyte one, we know how big Fury Joshua is. We don't have to talk about that. In your opinion, in the UK, how big is Fury v Whyte?
I think it's a big fight. I think Tyson in the UK, he hasn't fought here for a long time. I think is a big fight. It's a homecoming. And him against the Brit will make it even better. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a big fight.
Do you want to see him back in the UK soon?
Yeah, of course I do. I want to see him fight here. And I think the fans want to see him fight here. That's the most important thing. You know, we want to see him over here. You know, that's where he's where he's from, where he's done the business. I know he's won both his titles fighting in the other guy's backyard. But at the end of the day, it'd be great for him to do that big fight over here.
Frank, as we approach September 25th, I know I spoke to you about Joshua Usyk before, but as we get closer, what's your gut instinct, Sam?
You know what? As I say, Usyk was a phenomenal cruiserweight, phenomenal, amateur level and pro, phenomenal. You know, came up a weight, fought Chaz Witherspoon. I think he went 7 rounds with him, and obviously fought Derek Chisora and beat them both. He done what he had to do. Is he more comfortable at the weight now? As time's moved on, I don't know. We're going to find out fairly quickly when the fight starts, because that's going to be for me one of the big deciding things about this fight. You know, can Anthony Joshua impose all the pluses that he's got, which is his size, his punch power, his long jab? Can he impose that on a very good boxer who, if he gets under that jab, can give him a lot of problems? If he can get in and get underneath him and work and let his shots go, he's got fast hands. These hands are as good as Ruiz's. If he can let his shots go, and if he can stay there, and if he can be there after, say, six or 7 rounds, then I would start worrying if I was AJ's connections, because if it goes the distance, I've got to feel in my heart that Usyk would outbox him. That is it. So, you know, for me, it's the first couple of rounds you're going to get, as soon as the bell goes, in the first couple of rounds, you're going to get the general feel of how the fight will go. Because he's got to impose himself on it. He has to impose himself on AJ and let his bombs go.
Well, we look forward to September 25th and October 9th. 2 brilliant heavyweight fights. We need that kind of back now in boxing. We had Anthony Joshua on IFL on Friday, actually, and you know, Anthony's quite reserved normally, but he came on and said that he'll smoke Tyson Fury when they meet. What do you think about that?
Well, I think we've done something on Friday, didn't we, after the fight? He said he's smoking. Listen, to get smoke, you've got to have fire. And that's Tyson Fury. He'll light that fire under him, and he will smoke.
What's your gut?
That fight, please, it comes off for the fans and for everybody concerned. I can't wait for that fight, and I'm going to be. And I'll tell you something. I'll be very, very surprised if Tyson didn't come out as the victor and stop him.
I know this is not your business, but you know, people in boxing talk and stuff. What's your gut feeling, Frank, with what Anthony Joshua will do? We know he's got 1 fight left with Sky, with Usyk. Do you think he'll renew with Sky?
Look, he's going to look at the bottom line, isn't he? That's where he's a professional fighter. He's at the latter stages of his career, so he's going to look at where he can earn the money. DAZN don't at this moment do pay-per-view. So are they going to guarantee him these huge purses? That I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. And if they do guarantee him, how are they going to get the money back? Are they going to get it back from subscriptions? And what they're going to charge for a subscription? They're going to charge $7.99. They're going to up their prices. Who knows? I mean, as a pay-per-view, from a business perspective, the pay-per-view model has worked for him. That's why he's earned all the money he's earned. He's earned from majority of his money from British pay-per-view. So that's where it'd be interesting where what does happen with him as regarding Sky. But once this fight's out of the way, we will see. We've got to remember, if both of them come through their respective fights, we have quite strong rights with Tyson. So there's definitely some sort of deal would have to be made anyway.
So, sorry, Frank, you just cut out a second there, and when you're talking about the rights. Do you mind?
I said, well, as you know, Tyson has BT had certain rights as far as Tyson's concerned. So whatever happens, please God, we get it on. We got to work that scenario out. So and I think when we all thought we're getting quite close, it was agreed that both TV companies would share the rights. Now, if he's going to move, then that's going to be. Well, if he does move, how does that get sorted out? So it seems to be sorted out still.
Okay. How quickly do you think that mandatory with Joe Joyce will be ordered, Frank?
I think they're all very hard, but I'm going to be and I'm sure Joe knows it as well, the situation to be very, very simple is that fight will take precedent. I think both organisations will say that, it has to go on for the good of boxing. And the good thing is that Joe is in a great position to fight the winner. Unless they vacate the belt and he fights for the vacant belt.
Are we talking probably from a rough guess, maybe summer next year?
I think Joe will fight for some sort of world title by then. I'm talking about full world title by then. I'm quite confident of that. Yeah, they'll probably get if everything goes how we hope it goes, then they'll probably get their fight on sometime in February, and we go from there.
And have you had any recent talks with Adam Morley and Sam Jones about Joe's potential next opponent? Are we any closer?
Yeah, we've been working it. We were actually we were looking to get him in on get that fight on, get him out sometime in October. But we're not sure. We may push it back to November now.
Okay. Any movement with the WBA and Dubois and Trevor Bryant?
We're waiting for them. They've got a couple of things going on behind the scenes. I know there's some problems with them legally with Shah and with Don King, and it's sort of basically causing us a bit of a mess. But we are looking that, we believe that they will have to, or they will, make Daniel against Bryant.
That'll be a good build-up with you and Don King, eh?
Yeah, well, I'd love it. I mean, I want to get the fight on. Again, it's a bloody good fight for the fans. It's great fight for Daniel. And I've got to tell you something. Don't care where it goes on. Going in the States, wherever it works. But it's a great fight for Daniel.
Yeah, obviously he made a good mark in the States recently. I'm sure
he did.
US fans took to him.
They did. I mean, it was quite a sensational debut as far as they were concerned. And Showtime, we're in a good place with them with him. They love it.
What are Jake Paul's people saying about this Tommy Fury fight then, Frank? Tell me.
Well, I'm not going to go into details, but there are discussions going on at the moment.
Okay, that's good to hear. Did we have any indication how that pay-per-view on BT rated?
I haven't seen the numbers for it yet. Sometimes it takes a few months for them to come in because of all the various how people are building and so forth. Well, I haven't seen the numbers yet, but whatever it is, it is, and I'm sure if we can get Tommy in, it'll be bigger next time.
Okay. Well, obviously you've got another pay-per-view on October 9th. So we are expecting that double header to happen where you have your UK show leading into Fury Wilder 3.
There'll be a show, yeah. We've got a show on the 9th leading in, yeah.
Okay. And at this present time, is it still Arthur v. Yard 2?
No, he doesn't want to fight in Birmingham. He wants to fight in Manchester. We can't get Manchester on the 9th of October, as I explained, and we're working on it, trying to sort out a resolution. As it stands now, a complaint went into the Boxing Board of Control, and sorry, I lost you there. A complaint went into the British Boxing Board of Control, and that's being heard sometime next week, I think it is.
Okay, so the only reason is because of the location. They don't want that fight.
We agreed terms, the financial terms. We agreed to financial terms. Sorry, somebody calling. We agreed to financial terms and everything. It was about where a fight took place, and then it was. I was asked why don't I put it on at Old Trafford?
Old Trafford.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay,
that was going to be sort of. Yeah, don't even go there. I mean, what you have to put up with in this business. So by then, that just tells me that the fight's not. I don't fancy it. But anyway, we'll see. So there's a long way to go yet, and I'm hoping we can resolve it.
Frank,
all I want is really simple. I just want people to the contracts that they sign to honour them. That's really it. Nothing, no more, no less.
Okay. Was the MEN not an option if they wanted it in Manchester?
Well, that's where we went, but that's where we tried to get it on. We had no problem going to Manchester. Unfortunately, they got a ban plan there. We even tried to buy it out, but we couldn't do it. And that's it. And the amount of money they're getting and what we need to generate to make it work, we need a decent sized venue. Not Old Trafford, but we need a decent sized venue. Excuse me. So that's where we are. And I'm hoping, as I say, that we can resolve the matter. Okay.
So whatever happens there, it's let's say the Arthur fight doesn't happen. We still expect Anthony Yard to fight on October 9th.
Well, I want to see what happens next week.
Okay. All right. We'll have a catch up on that next week. And you expect to hear from the board sometime this week. Is that correct?
No, they got a hearing.
They got a hearing.
Oh, it's a hearing at the moment. Yeah.
Right.
But
Okay.
there's still time to go. Hopefully, we can. If everybody puts their sensible heads on, we can hopefully resolve it.
Okay.
But I have a contract, and I expect that contract to be honoured.
All right. Just a couple of more things, please, Frank. Dennis McCann has gone and said, "I still want this Prince Patel fight." Did you think we can get this?
I'll tell you something. That would be a great top of the bill, wouldn't it, for the prospect show?
Oh, that would be unbelievable. Yeah.
Wouldn't it? That would do the job. Let's have a look at that.
Is there anyone that you know from Prince's side that you could speak to?
Yeah, we'll reach out for them and see what we can do.
Probably be him himself, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Listen, he's got my number. He knows my number.
What are the plans then in terms of shows, Frank? Kind of till Christmas?
Well, 9th of October, we'll do a couple in November and December.
All right. Also, just want to mention...
So you're going to get... So what's going to happen is Daniel Dubois will fight before Christmas. Joe Joyce will fight before Christmas, amongst our other guys. We've got to get Callum Johnson out, from the fight that he missed, and obviously Anthony Yard, and we'll get the other one away as well with Anthony Yard against Arthur.
Yeah, and also you're going to put McCann v Patel on.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, Frank Warren, appreciate your time on IFL TV as always, and I'm sure we'll have a catch up soon. All right.
Thanks very much. It's a pleasure, mate. Give me a shout towards the end of the week, and we'll see what we can do.
Perfect. Thank you, Frank.
Cheers, mate. Bye.